Well, thank you for joining me. I just wanted to say at the outstart, I am very disappointed in the meeting. It was a sham. It was a farce. I believe the Premier, I think she even said it in her comments. She had written her speech or what she intended to take forward from her own home. Her own home is not the legislature. And what I took away from this meeting was two things. One, the Premier is afraid of an open and transparent process to develop the rules. She wants it run by the Premier's office. Secondly, the Premier is petrified of a public inquiry. A moment that I found very surprising during the meeting at the first part of this gathering with the three-party leaders is the Premier Kathleen actually asked me at the beginning of the meeting, are you going to insist on a public inquiry? And I said, absolutely. And I could see the fear in her eyes, and the meeting completely went south after that. There was no interest in input, and I have to say, my question to Kathleen Wynne is, what is she afraid of? What is she hiding? Je suis très déçu. La rencontre était une farce. Je tire deux conclusions de cette réunion. La Première ministre a peur d'un processus ouvert pour formuler les règles. Elle a surtout peur d'une enquête publique. Ma question pour Kathleen Wynne, de quoi a-t-elle peur? Qu'est-ce qu'elle cache? We sought an independent and inclusive process that would give equal voice to all parties and relevant officers of the legislature. This is the way it has been done before in Ontario. This is the way it was done at the federal level. We shared with the Premier numerous examples. I give credit to my colleague from the NDP who came up with a sensible, although different proposal that is based on the same principles of independence and transparency. The Premier wants to table legislation in May that she's going to draft behind closed doors, run only by the Premier's office. We are proposing a process with all-party consent, with all-party cooperation that can be started next week. The Premier says she didn't want to change the timelines. And I said to the Premier, I said to Kathleen Wynne that we can all work on the same timelines. We want to bring this in for January 1st, 2017. We can use the exact same timelines, whether it's the advisory panel, whether it's a select committee. And I said, are you willing to consider that? And her response was, well, we can't go on the same timelines. And then we explained to the Premier how the process would work, that we could have a motion, a UC, in the legislature next week. We could start next week. And her response was, there's no guarantee a UC would pass. And I said, give me a break. We have the three-party leaders here. We're all saying that if we commit to this, there would be no delay. We could have the exact same timeline. And so I have to say it is completely dishonest to suggest that we can't have the exact same timelines with a process that has legitimacy. And I challenged Kathleen. I said, the way you're setting it up to be run only by the Premier's office, to be run only by the Liberal Party, would be a departure from tradition, but it would lack legitimacy. And maybe this was her punishment for the fact that I would not back away from my call for a public inquiry. I believe that what's happened, the stories that have been highlighted across the province, we need to see those investigated. I don't understand why the Premier is so adamant that must be dropped. I believe that when you've looked at conditions like this before, that putting sunshine on it is an important step. And so I have to say, I felt that the meeting was simply a PR stunt. The Premier wanted to say that she met, but had no interest in input, had no interest in anything that myself or the NDP leader wanted to raise. And I said that increasingly the public is losing trust in her government, and it's so important